He walked into a bar. Security cameras caught him going in, but no camera ever saw him leave. Brian Shaffer was 27 years old in the spring of 2006, a second-year medical student at Ohio State University. Smart, focused, the kind of person who had his life mapped out in front of him. He was preparing for exams, planning a vacation to Miami with his girlfriend, Alexis. They'd been talking about getting engaged. Just weeks earlier, Brian's mother had died from cancer. It had been sudden, devastating, but he was holding it together, surrounded by friends, supported by Alexis, trying to move forward. On the night of March 31st, 2006, Brian decided to go out. It was the start of spring break. He needed to blow off steam, forget about loss, forget about pressure. Just one night to feel normal again. Columbus, Ohio, the Arena District, Friday night. The bars were packed. Brian met up with his friend Clint Florence. They bar hopped, drank, laughed. It was supposed to be easy, a few hours of distraction before the world came crashing back in. Around 9 p.m., they arrived at the Ugly Tuna Saloona. It was a college bar on the second floor of a building near campus. You had to take an escalator to get there. Loud music, cheap drinks, crowds of students celebrating the beginning of break. Brian was in good spirits. Witnesses said he seemed happy, relaxed. He talked to strangers, flirted with a couple of women near the bar. At one point, he was caught on camera outside the bar, talking to two young women near the entrance. He's smiling, leaning against the railing. Just another guy on a Friday night. That footage was timestamped at 1:55 a.m. It's the last time anyone can definitively say they saw Brian Shaffer. Just after that conversation, Brian walked back inside the Ugly Tuna. The camera at the entrance captured him stepping through the door. White shirt, jeans, baseball cap worn backward. He turned. He walked in. The door closed behind him. And Brian Shaffer was never seen again.
At 2 a.m., the bar began to close. Clint Florence couldn't find Brian. He called his phone. No answer. He assumed Brian had left early. Maybe gone home. Maybe met someone. It wasn't unusual. People split up at bars all the time. So Clint left. But Brian never made it home. By the next day, Alexis was worried. Brian wasn't answering calls, wasn't responding to texts. He'd missed plans they had made. This wasn't like him. She called his father, his brother, his friends. No one had heard from him. On April 2nd, Brian Shaffer was reported missing. And that's when the impossible became real. Police immediately reviewed security footage from the Ugly Tuna Saloona. There was only one public entrance, one exit, and it was covered by a camera. The footage showed Brian entering at 1:55 a.m., but it never showed him leaving. Investigators watched every second of tape from that night. Every person who entered. Every person who left. Employees. Customers. Strangers. They counted them. Checked them. Cross-referenced them. Brian was not among them. Police searched the bar, top to bottom. They checked storage rooms, bathrooms, ventilation shafts, the roof. They brought in cadaver dogs. Nothing. They searched the construction site connected to the building. The bar sat above an area that was being renovated. There were theories that Brian could have wandered into the site and gotten lost, trapped, injured. Cadaver dogs were brought in again. Nothing. Detectives interviewed everyone who had been at the bar that night. Bartenders, bouncers, patrons. Clint Florence was questioned. Alexis was questioned. Brian's family cooperated fully. There were no signs of foul play, no evidence of struggle, no body, no blood, no witnesses who saw anything unusual. Just absence. Over time, theories began to emerge. Some believed Brian left voluntarily, that the pressure of his mother's death, medical school, and life had become too much, that he walked away and started over somewhere else. But his bank accounts were never touched. His credit cards were never used. His cell phone never pinged another tower. Others speculated about the construction site, that maybe he fell, got trapped, that his body was sealed in concrete or hidden in debris before anyone realized he was missing. Searches were conducted. Nothing was found. Some wondered if something happened inside the bar. A fight, a confrontation, an accident, that someone knew more than they were saying. But there was no evidence, no motive, no suspect. And still others believed something darker, that Brian encountered someone with bad intentions, that he was taken, harmed, disappeared deliberately. But how? How do you make someone vanish from a building with one exit? Here's what we know for certain. Brian Shaffer entered the Ugly Tuna Saloon at 1:55 a.m. He did not leave through the main entrance.
There were other exits, a service exit used by employees, but it led down a locked corridor and opened onto a side street. No camera covered it. Could Brian have left that way? Maybe. But why? Why would a medical student out with friends celebrating spring break suddenly slip out a back exit in the middle of the night without telling anyone? And if he did, where did he go? The street outside was busy. Cameras from nearby businesses captured foot traffic, cars, movement. Brian wasn't on any of them. His phone last pinged near the bar around 2 a.m. Then it went silent, turned off, or dead. To this day, no one knows where Brian Shaffer went after 1:55 a.m. No body has been found. No evidence has surfaced. No credible sighting has ever been confirmed. Brian's father, Randy, spent years searching for his son. He hired private investigators, appeared on television, pleaded for information. In 2008, Randy Shaffer died. He never found out what happened to Brian. Alexis moved on. She's married now. She's spoken publicly about Brian only a handful of times. She said she doesn't know what happened, that she wishes she did. Clint Florence, Brian's friend, has rarely spoken about that night. In the few interviews he's given, he's maintained that he doesn't know where Brian went, that he assumed Brian left on his own. Some people have questioned him, suspected him, but he's never been named a suspect. He's never been charged. He took a polygraph test years later. He refused to answer one question. Do you know what happened to Brian Shaffer? He didn't fail. He just refused to answer. There's a feeling you get when you stand outside the building where the Ugly Tuna used to be. It's quiet now. The bar closed years ago. The space is empty. The construction is long finished.
But the question remains. How does a man walk into a building and never walk out? How does a medical student, surrounded by people, vanish in the span of minutes without a trace? The cameras saw him enter. They never saw him leave. The searches found nothing. The investigation reached no conclusion. Somewhere between the escalator and the exit, between the last drink and the morning light, Brian Shaffer stepped out of reality, and the world kept turning. His name is still in databases. His case is still open, but the bar is silent now, and Brian Shaffer is still missing. Somewhere between the door and the silence, a man disappeared, and no one knows why.